Welcome back, ECA members and audience members. My name is Kenneth Ellington. Thanks for hopping back on whatever you want to call this webinar, Ask Me Anything session. I'm glad that you guys are here. I know we've been off for, I want to say, what's it been, like a month or so? I've had to travel for some work stuff, so I've been pretty busy with that. So this will be the second towards the last session we have for the end of the year. And then starting, I think there's one more session we're going to do probably this December with Gladys, Markeisha Snath, and probably Dominic and Nigel as well. So for this session, I'm going to talk about threat intelligence, threat hunting, and automation for that. And any questions you guys have in the chat, just feel free to drop it. I think my LinkedIn is acting weird, so let me see if I can check the chat for you guys. Yeah, I can't check my LinkedIn thing, actually. That's wonderful. So I have no idea if anybody's in here or not. So let me drop this. You let me know if anyone's seeing the same issues as me, because I can't see my LinkedIn page in a 404 arrow. So that's kind of weird. Anyways. All right, cool. Matthew's here. Awesome. So what we're going to be covering is, again, threat hunting, threat intelligence, detection engineering, since that is what my bread and butter is. That's what the majority of these calls normally are for sessions. So again, any questions you have along the way, just please let us know. So I get asked a lot of different questions about kind of like, what should I do to become a threat hunter or a detection engineer? Like, is that an entry-level job? Is that hard? Is it easy? What are some things I should learn? So I'm going to break it down like bit by bit to give you guys more of a roadmap and guidance on what to do and how to do it. So let's start with detection engineer. But let's say you're say you do IT, help desk support, you're a technician, whatever the case may be for any of those type of roles. And your goal is to become a detection engineer. What steps should you take in order towards become that, right? First questions I normally ask, and you probably heard me say this 1,000 times, but it's super important. Like, what are your ultimate goals, right? Like, what are your timeline? Where do you currently live? Are you willing to move? Start the first one, which would be, what is your timeline? Right? So if you tell me your timeline is like within 6 months, I'm probably tell you that's very unrealistic for you. And if you tell me your timeline is going to be, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3 years, I can probably work with that. Right? Detection engineering is not an entry-level or junior-level position. Normally, it's probably more mid to senior level for most cases for most firms. So normally, they might start you off as like an analyst, might be sysadmin, you might be a cloud engineer, and you might want to move towards that. So again, it's just going to depend on where you're starting out with for how I would help you get towards that level. Second thing I would say is, where do you currently live? Because again, if you live like in Wyoming or Kansas and Nebraska, right, there realistically aren't as many subsidy jobs as there are if you live like in Dallas or San Francisco or New York City, right? That's the reality of it. So I may tell you eventually you may have to move towards a larger metro area, either within your region or inside the country, to help reach your goals. Now, if you don't want to or you can't, which most people, especially if you're young, normally can move, you guys just don't want to. I said it's fine. Since your battle may just be harder for you to reach your goals. Just be aware of that and understand that. So let's say you got in that part of the way, right? You decided that, hey, I'm willing to move, right? I'm actually help this and support. I'm willing to have a long time horizon for this. That's awesome, cool. What should you technically learn in order to help reach those goals? It's a couple of areas. So if you be a detection engineer, you don't understand operating systems, so Linux, Windows, right? Understand what logs, SIEMs, ingest, And SIEM stands for Security Information Event Monitoring System. So understand what those type of platforms will ingest, understand what EDRs are, XDRs, understand what SOAR platforms are, which SOAR stands for Security Orchestration Automation and Response. So those will be part of your tool belt that you'll be using for that. Let me show you this. Share screen. So let's say you choose to specialize using Splunk. And again, you can use whatever SIEM platform you want to. Doesn't really matter, honestly. Just get good at one, then go from there. But let me actually do it this way. So let's do, should be Bash, I think. This is something I give towards a lot of my students and members for what we have. I would highly suggest you take a look at this. Especially if you use anything Splunk at all, front end or back end, you have to learn Linux. Especially back end. Back end, non-negotiable. And most of these security platforms run on Linux platforms. So it could be real, it could be AWS, it could be some type of Azure, VM, it doesn't matter. So you need to understand Linux operating system and how those logs go, how they move, how they generate, and then understand how to navigate through the command line. So again, how to navigate the file system, viewing and changing files, filling the environment, redirecting input and output. So like knowing these key concepts is extremely important. Like I'd say honestly for most security positions, you'll have to know Linux or Windows. Same thing for Windows as well. Know how the backend operating system works. So those are the first two things. And the most common data sources most SIEM platforms ingest, or most EDRs or XDRs or SOAR platforms manipulate would be OS logs, so Windows, Linux, cloud logs, so Azure, GCP, AWS. Other one would be IAM logs as well, so Okta, CyberArk, Entra ID. Fourth one would be EDR, XDR, so CrowdStrike Falcon, SentinelOne, Cortex, XDR. And the other one would be network logs, so firewall logs, so PAN logs, Juniper Network, checkpoint logs, those type of logs. Those are normally the most common use cases that SIEM platforms will want to ingest and try to manipulate. So you should definitely know how those logs are generated, how the underlying platforms themselves run and are maintained, and what type of security threats may happen from that. I'll pause for a second. Any questions from me at all about what I just covered, what I just said? Again, please drop your questions inside the chat. Yeah, I can't get to my page for some odd reason. I don't know why. It's down. And any questions about what I just covered, please just drop into the chat. I'm here to help you guys out. Okay, next up. So let's say you got that down, right? Let's say you got done finishing understanding operating system, understanding the fundamental log. Let's say, cool. You ask me, all right, Kenneth, what are some next steps to do? I'll say next up is you can choose whatever SIEM platform or whatever area you want to try to specialize in. If you're going to be a Sentinel person meaning Microsoft Sentinel for the SIEM and SOAR platform, you should probably specialize or use Azure. That's what it lives on. That's what it plays best with. Most Microsoft products are very crappy integrated with other product lines. So you're going to probably want to specialize for the Azure stack or their technology stack. So Purview, Defender, Entra ID, all right. Let's say you want to use Splunk. If you want to use Splunk, for example, then I'd probably say to specialize in Splunk products, and then for like a backend infrastructure perspective, try to focus on AWS. Since most of the Splunk cloud servers run at AWS and they have a very strong partnership together. For example. So let's say you want to I see you want to specialize in Splunk. Awesome. Again, they have a bunch of free training you can do. It's not good as ours, but it's still free. And for a couple of things you might want to do would be core user and power user. So you can click on courses, free courses, you can do certifications, you can do core user, and list all the trainings that are free that you can do. So that's the phone number we send most people to start off with if you never used Splunk before in your entire life. To get started, to get your feet wet, and you can go from here. So if you want to use Splunk, this is where I'd probably go. Let me drop this into the chat for you guys. And you can go outside, you can register for it. I'll take you here, and I'll tell you if it costs any money. This one does not cost any money. You can click on roll, and then you will be able to take it. Back. Same thing for the register. It will tell you again. If it costs any money. The e-learning ones are free. The actual live ones are not free. They cost money. I think they put on the labs. Let me actually double check and see. Just gonna load another one. Yeah, these ones are actual. Or they have live ones. These cost money. It's $500 for actual live classes. Here's the e-learn with labs, and it costs $300 for it. Again, this depends on what route you want to take and what is your budget for it. I would say do these ones and try to sit for at least a core user one. Then post about it, talk about it, like document your journey as well. Once you do that, all right, once you get that down, your next step is going to be to design your own environment. So for that, how will that look like? Let me show you. So I use AWS for my stuff. You can use AWS, you can use Azure. If you're going to use Splunk, I would say use AWS. This is easier. You can then create a account, and you can host your own servers. If you want to be able to manage it on your own dime and time, you have a powerful machine, you can use hypervisors or virtualization to manage that as well. You can use VMware Workstation as well if it's something that you want to use. It is just up to you. And these are free. This is free to cost. Free of cost. Pardon my English. And you set up, and then you just segment your networks, segment your resource allocation, and then you're able to download and install different platforms for it. Once that is done, and once you install Splunk, you can then touch ingest data. If you want to ingest data, you can literally you can type in free data sources for analysis. You can literally just go on here. This is data.gov. You can type in cyber. I have cyber, I'm not sure. CSV. And then you're able to actually just take a look at it if you want to. It should give you preview, or maybe it doesn't. You can click, then you can download it and you can play around with it if you want to. Other ones as well, there's Kaggle and Tableau, so the world is your oyster. Once that is done, you'll then just to play around with it, and then you can build a rule to detect on the various activities if you want to. So back, Splunk free training. You can type in cyber defense analyst 1. You can then sign up for registering for scheduling reports and alerts. You know, learn how to create alerts inside of Splunk as well. Here it is. You can sign up for it as well. Those are the ones, once you get done with the first part of that, I would definitely do. Then these ones, if one costs money, you check it out. It's like $1,000 or something. Oh, they put the wrong amount for that one. It is $1,500 for this one, which is expensive. And let me see. I just want to, what is all this? DBA. They have a detection engineering one. If you can do that one, here it is. Oh. I register for it. But yeah. So point is, there's a bunch of different ones you can do, depending what your path is. And I'll just go on the list and check out, see which ones you want to do from there. I'll pause again. Are there any questions for me about what I covered so far? There's Kajhon. Kajhon, can you hear me? We might be logging in. That's okay. Anyways, if you guys have questions, just please drop them into the chat for us. But I'm giving you a roadmap of what you could take. Obviously, I don't know all of your personal stories, so I can't specifically tailor it towards your needs, but this is a general path you can take and tweak towards your needs if you want to. I get asked 10,000 questions about this every single day. So let's say you're on a path where you learn to create alerts, detections, right? And now you're ready for the next step for that. What should you do? I would say if you've done that, you might want to move on towards, we'll do XDRs. What are some ones you can do? Let's do Sentinel 1. What the hell is wrong with the thing? Why is this in German? If you want to do, so if you want to do Sentinel 1 is an XDR and EDR platform. Also have a SIEM platform as well. They're one of our partners, so this is who we use for our courses and our materials for that. So once you get down to fundamentals of like SIEM platforms, operating systems, monitoring, logging, you can then move over and pivot towards this. And you can work on this as well. I think training is only for your partner, which we're a partner, so we give training to our students. So if you want to use Sentinel 1, you can as well. They're an amazing platform. They're awesome. So you can understand like what they do, who they are, resources. They have them here as well. eBooks. You understand like how the platform works, so you can learn it from here. Go back, cause let me see. Training. Is this only? I think it's only. Yeah, it's only paid. Yeah, that's what I thought. But they have some free ones online on YouTube. I have no idea how good or bad these are, so user discretion is advised. But if you want to use Sentinel 1, you can use Sentinel 1. You can use CrowdStrike. You can use CrowdStrike. It doesn't really matter, right? Honestly, I would just say if you want to do text engineering, learn an XDR platform. Okay, John, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. I want to apologize for the tardiness. For some reason, I was thinking the 28th, and I think that's what was relayed to me, and I got my days mixed up. So I want to apologize.
No worries, no worries. Everyone, welcome Kajhon. He is a senior security researcher at Microsoft. You work at the Pentagon too, right?
Yes. I supported the Pentagon under DISA for about 2 years. Also, CISA, DHS, was a contractor there, leading their China Nexus Threat Actor Adversary Pursuit Team. And then after that, I went to DARPA. I spent about 6 months at DARPA before jumping ship and going to Microsoft.
Very nice. Very nice. For some odd reason, I cannot check to see who's on our LinkedIn right now. I get a 404 error, which is very odd. I don't know if we're still having AWS issues or not, but that's super weird. I've checked multiple browsers too, so don't know. But anyways, for those of you that are on, which I honestly have no idea, I can't check. If you have questions, please do let us know and drop them inside the chat. So what I've done is people have been asking me for a roadmap on like what to do, Kajhon. I have someone to do threat intelligence or threat hunting. So I've walked them through like the foundational stuff towards the more advanced stuff. So right now I'm going over, let's say someone was in help desk IT support. I went over the foundational stuff they should know, like operating systems, Linux backend, Windows backend as well. Understanding different data sources that might want to ingest. So OS logs, cloud logs, IAM logs, EDR endpoint logs, and then network logs like firewalls. From there, I've told them if they want to specialize with Splunk, awesome. You should probably learn AWS because they're both really good partners and integrate in pretty well. If someone wants to learn Sentinel, and probably learn Azure because it plays really well with it. Now we moved on towards they got that foundation down. Now trying to like what EDR platform or XDR platform they should want to learn about. So we're on CrowdStrike and Sentinel 1.
Yeah. Listen, CrowdStrike, Sentinel-1. I will say though, it's a little bit more difficult to get training, EDR specific
Yeah.
training, unless your organization is willing to sponsor that kind of stuff. Um, I had the luxury in the past of taking CrowdStrike, Falcon training. And it's very good. It's very good training, right? Sometimes on demand, sometimes live instruction. But again, if your organization is using and you have a dedicated shop, whether that's SOC operations, threat detection, threat hunting, that has a use case for that, you can certainly influence them in order to get that paid for. I do know, however. There are individual security professionals that have classes on places like Udemy. If I'm not mistaken, Haley Shaw is one of them. So shout out to Haley Shaw. I think she has a nice course on CrowdStrike Falcon. We actually work together doing some deeper consulting work as well. So please check out her courses out. She also got some great Splunk courses as well. When it comes to Sentinel-1, I'm not too versed, right? I don't really have a lot of experience with Sentinel-1, so I'm really not going to speak on that. But working at the government side, specifically CISA, I did a lot of CrowdStrike Falcon there. I did CrowdStrike Falcon for the CDC as well. Very awesome. And again, if you're learning CrowdStrike, you want to learn Splunk because Splunk is natively supported with inside CrowdStrike. So you definitely want to get that in terms of a big data analysis query language. You can't really go wrong with SPL. And then Defender, right? There's also Defender as an option. I'll find that Defender, when it comes to at least securing maybe like a trial license, if you are educational or like a business, you can essentially secure a Microsoft a MDE trial license. But again, it expires after a while. But it gives you some opportunity to test telemetry, right? Forward that telemetry into something like Kusto Explorer or Azure Data Explorer, which are both open source. So even if you are struggling to have live telemetry from endpoints for EDR solution, you can always go to like event log attack samples, or if I'm not mistaken, the guy Costas, who that's his last name, who created the EDR telemetry project. He has a bunch of samples available on his GitHub. So I always recommend you have opportunities if you don't want to go the Splunk route or the Elastic route. You can always use something like Kusto Explorer or Azure Data Explorer and just you know create your own cluster, your own database, and dump some logs in there, right? Whether it's Excel, CSV, GitHub provided logs, just dump it in there and start hunting through it, right? Start building your own hypothesis, searching for it. And again, this is the free and most uh, frugal way of doing things, right? There's other routes to actually get like efficient training in terms of sim threat hunting based training. There's a lot of platforms out there these days. I mean, it's just a wealth of opportunities to learn, as opposed to what was available 5 years ago, right? I mean, it's ever since the COVID era, which has definitely propelled the desire and want for a lot of individuals to transition from a 10-year, 5-year, 20-year career in a different industry to something else. Or individuals coming straight out of high school, right, college, who are transitioning and saying, okay, no, I want to do information technology, I want to do cybersecurity, I want to do cloud or AI, machine learning. Since 2020, I've certainly seen an explosion of that. But yeah, I'll definitely say, yeah, if you can, if always the free route. I mean, we're in a day and age where like you want to learn something, it's out there, right? Whether it's on YouTube, whether it's a lab somewhere, it's in the Medium blog, somebody somewhere has written about it, has drafted steps on how to do it. But again, if you actually you don't mind spending $50 a month, $20 a month, there is cyber defenders, right? That actually comes with Elastic and Splunk based browser based labs, right? There's Zentra Labs, right? Zentra Labs is nuclear on the block, but a lot of the individuals that work at Centralized, come from organizations like SecureWorks and Mandiant, etc. Let's see. I mean, it's just a wealth. It's just a wealth. I can't really like the blue team. Blue team is certainly not hurting these days, right? Because before the explosion, a lot of cybersecurity training was geared towards red team, and everybody wanted to be a pen tester, everybody wanted to be a hacker. But these days, I mean, over 90% of all cybersecurity job openings are on the defensive side. And you also have to consider GRC and the infosec compliance side as well. So even if the technical route, something that you're not necessarily sure of, then maybe pivot to GRC, right? Learn about processes and technology and risk and securing the attack surface, right? Reducing the attack surface. I mean, it's just a world. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but I'll pause there.
Yeah, it's a lot of different paths you can take to get towards your goals, and keep it in mind. So do your research before making a decision, and then make the best choice based on your own circumstances or needs. Yeah, since CrowdStrike, I believe most people have heard of it, but maybe some have not. So you guys want to take a look at it. Here's where it's at. And you can take a look at it. Let's see. So those are some options you can do, right? There's also another option called SOAR 2. So if you wanted to do, let's say, SOAR with like, that's all. That's such a lot of them. So you can do SOAR, you can use Times, you can use Palo Alto XSOAR, you can use Splunk SOAR. Different ones you can use for that. So the one that I use primarily would be Splunk SOAR. It's one I'm most common with. Times, I would say Times is more automation overall than purely security focused from what I've seen, what I've used. But it works very well though as well. And yes, Splunk SOAR integrates all the SOAR platform. Plus Cisco, because Cisco bought it out, Splunk. I know they've been working on a lot of different integrations with Cisco products to make it more streamlined too. And most networking routers and switches are run through Cisco syslog protocols, the majority of it, which works very well with Splunk as well. So it makes it very seamless.
Yes, another popular SOAR. I think you already mentioned is XSOAR, right? Cortex XSOAR,
Yeah.
Which came under the acquisition by Palo. That was something I had the privilege of using. Very nice, very intuitive. Splunk SOAR is great. However, when it comes to Phantom and Splunk SOAR, I think price-wise, on the enterprise level, Splunk has always been an expensive beast. If you had privilege to sit in those talks in terms of cost. But yes, I mean these opportunity of SOAR detection engineering, SOAR analysts. I mean that's a niche in and of itself. But he's absolutely right. I mean, take advantage of learning SOAR content. And again, I'm always going to point to training, right? Udemy, there's a lot of instructors out there that are teaching vendor-specific training on these platforms, right? Even the Microsoft ecosystem also has SOAR, right, within Sentinel, so that's an opportunity as well. Yeah, I mean, it's SOAR, SIEM, EDR, NDR, right? I mean, we can't forget network detection and response, even though it's usually like a seldom thing. However, there are still NDRs out there as well. If you have a really strong network background, you're coming from a network engineering or network admin background, and you're really good with building out network-based analysis tools. Another thing to point out, open source network analysis tools like Zeek, right? Natively supported by MDE as of 2022. So if you have an opportunity to learn Zeek, please do. I have a course myself I created on Rangeforce. It's a free course, it's part of the Rangeforce community platform. So you can sign up and take the Z course. Just, I mean, it's just so many things. It's just so many things out there. I mean, it just wows me because like when we were coming up in this space, this half of this stuff wasn't here. It just
Yeah,
wasn't, and
it wasn't.
now it's just it's just available now. I mean, it's just so many opportunities out there to learn all this stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's sort of been interesting, but it can be information overload for some people. That's why I tell people to do their research to figure out like what path they want to take exactly, and then go from there. They go about doing your own journey. So I'll keep that in mind. Everyone doesn't always have your best interests, which I've learned the hard way. I did for sales and marketing training. They set up our ad funnel. I spent like 25K. We made $0 from it. So um, it doesn't always work out, but it's a part of the process, right? So never don't beat yourself up about it. You live and you learn. You move on from there. So since we have you on, Kajhon, we have like another probably 10 more minutes. I'm open to the floor to questions from me and Kajhon to close out. So any questions you have about threat intelligence, threat hunting, detection engineering, what career path you should take, just drop them at the chat for us and we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. But I would ask you, Kajhon, for what you've seen, if you've ever interviewed anybody for your position to try to hire like a more junior person, what are the biggest things you look for inside of candidates?
Well, I actually just got off of like a month hiring spree, so um, uh, yes, I've interviewed for 2 positions recently. So this question is at the top of my mind. And it's great that you asked it. You asked it. One was fully remote. I'm going to give you a background on the position, right? Because this is I want you to have context, right? One was fully remote, security researcher position on a threat hunting team, right? Defender experts that I'm on. The other one was 50% remote, based out of Redmond, Washington, right? Out of the Microsoft office. Now, one was more on the threat detection leaning side. The other one was more on the research side. Now, what's the difference, you may ask, right? And why would threat hunting be kind of categorized as a difference of approach, right? So I say all that to say is because there is the component of threat hunting where you are passively hunting, right? Maybe like retroactive querying, IOC based analysis, right? You're taking a piece of intelligence or maybe piece of IOCs, and you are trying to find exactly those indicators, right? And then there is the opportunity when you're just sifting through the data, what we want to call ad hoc or hypothesis-based data-driven hunting, where you actually have, a swab of data in front of you, and you want to figure out, okay, what is going on in this environment. Now, I'm going to get to the point in terms of relevant skills because this is necessary. When you're a threat hunter, or when you reach to a capacity when you are doing threat hunting in your environment, what maybe you're a SOC analyst or you're doing IR at the moment, or maybe you're in a vulnerability management team, right? Maybe you're in a different component within the security org, doing a different technical aspect outside of threat hunting. You're gonna have to learn a little bit of everything, unfortunately, because you're gonna be exposed to a little bit of everything. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's say I wanted to focus on persistence mechanisms, right? Or let's say I wanted to focus on, yeah, let's just take persistence mechanisms. So let's say we're going to do a TTP based threat hunting, right? And we're going to focus on a specific modern TTP that leverages, registry keys for persistence, and dropping binaries and values in registry keys. So, well, in order for that piece of hunt to become successful in the long term, you're going to have to understand a little bit about registries, the Windows registry system, how it works, right? Why does it allow persistence? Why are some registry keys, useful than others? So then you start to get into the realm of forensics, right? Because you have to have a little bit of understanding of OS internals. Now, for me, and from the for the positions I hire, we typically look at raw XDR telemetry. So we're not really sitting in front of alerts or a queue for something to kind of pop off. We're looking at the raw data as it comes in. Now, this is something I also stress to my team of doing open source research and informing yourself on things you don't know about systems and where things may be. Um, what do people need to know if they want to become a junior threat hunter or want to transition into threat hunting? You're going to have to understand Windows, Linux, and Mac OS internals, right? Not to the extent of, let's say, maybe a reverse engineer. However, to the extent that you have basic foundation of you know operating system, right, functionality, right, everything from the terminal options, everything from where programs reside, file paths, right, system hierarchy, process hierarchy. I mean, that's number one. Basic OS internals about a given OS. The next thing you're gonna want to understand is before you even get the techniques is basic communication, right? I'm talking about client server architecture, right? Client server communication, communication between nodes and endpoints within the network, understanding LAN, WAN, WLAN, understanding communication with internet sources, right? So what I mean by that is next time you power on your PC, just open up Wireshark and don't do anything. Don't even open up Edge or any browser. Just open up Wireshark and just start capturing traffic. You're gonna understand that your device is doing a lot of stuff that you have no idea what it's doing, right? Well, this is basically APIs, content delivery networks, over-the-air updates, right? Stuff that we call bloatware, right? A lot of bloatware going on, but it's important because when you're threat hunting and you're sifting through the data, you're going to find a lot of noise. You're going to find a lot of recurring AWS and Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome, and you're going to think, "Oh, I found something," but then you're going to be like, "Wait, okay, never mind. This is a false positive." So understanding like how networks and how endpoints communicate over the internet in general, um, have a understanding on a basic level about malware analysis, right? Not necessarily. I'm not asking you to open up Ghidra and IDA Pro and start, you know, sifting at that level. However, understand what how malicious payloads are delivered, how they're packaged, right? UPX packaging, binaries, all those different things, right? Because when you are threat hunting, you will come across malicious payloads. You'll come across files drop, memory, right? A lot of malware these days are loaded in memory. So understanding .NET, right? .NET is a framework on the Windows side. And then I'll also say, what did I say? OS internals, networking, a little bit of malware analysis. What's the other things I'll say? Yeah, client server architecture. So, right, if most machines are in the Active Directory environment, right? Whether it's on-prem or cloud, right? Cloud Azure or on-prem AD, Azure AD. So understanding how domains and endpoints communicate within a domain, right? Um, and then let's see what else could I be missing. Yeah, man, it's really a lot. It's really a lot. You definitely have to know. But you learn. I mean, don't think you need to know all this stuff before you start threat hunting. You'll learn as you go. Um, if you come from an IR background, you might already have knowledge of where certain things exist, right? If you come from a SOC analyst background, you may already have knowledge of log sources, right? I mean, understanding your data is very important as a threat hunter because you need to know what you have to understand where you need to look. Um, and then frameworks. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing because the frameworks can position you to figure out, how you want to go about building a hypothesis and hunting, right? When I talk about frameworks, I'm talking more like Peak, right? Splunk Peak, That was also like a brainchild of the Dave Bianco, um, who also created the Squirrel framework and the Pyramid of Pain. And then you also have MITRE, right? Just take some time to dissect MITRE tactics, right? There are 14 tactics now. There used to be 12, now they're 14. Just look through them, right? Just read them, like literally just read MITRE TTPs one day and just dissect them, understand what threat actors do, the different TTPs that they leverage. Um, let's see, cyber kill chain. I mean, again, when you are doing analysis, you want to have in your mind, how do I X the 5 Ws, right? The who, what, when, where, why. And you also want to map stages of attack and your data to MITRE TTPs, to the cyber kill chain. Okay, what point is we're dealing with initial access, right? Or is this reconnaissance, right? Did I came across some nmap scanning? Are we dealing with execution at this stage, right? Are we dealing with persistence? Defensive agent, right? Are they disabling EDR, or are they disabling user access control or MFA bypass, right? What is going on here? Um, but that's going to come with time, right? I say all these things, and it kind of and I'm sure it sounds daunting, especially to those who have not been in this space or begin in it. However, it's going to come with time. I think just starting with the basics. Um, there's a lot of great courses on the basics of just fundamentals, right? Just the fundamentals. I mean, yeah, the fundamentals is what's necessary to being a successful threat hunter, because we always have to go back to the basics, right? To the ones and twos of it all. So um, yeah, I mean, I know that was a mouthful, but really, it's just a lot. It's a lot. It also depends on what you have at your disposal. Some people are more network based. Some people are more endpoint based. Cloud, right? Cloud threat hunting is a subcategory in and of itself. There's so much going on in the cloud. I mean, between Azure, between um, AWS. Now we have Copilot AI, right? There's AI components to threat hunting now, because we have AI infused applications, right, within built into Office products. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. For sure. Let me add myself back in. So yeah, there's a lot of different paths you can take for that. There's a lot of different things that people like Kajhon may look for inside a candidate. So just keep that in mind. You can't know everything. No one does. So don't beat yourself up if you don't know every single technical tool, platform, and language out there. I certainly don't, but John doesn't as well. Well, I won't speak for him. Maybe he does. But right, we're all just trying to learn to do the best that we can. So just pick a lane, learn it, and then start to branch out from there. Don't try to was it like boil the ocean all at one time? I think is the saying, and that will help you on your path. But are there any last minute questions for me or Kajhon at all? If there's not, we'll close out tonight. So next up for y'all, I know you guys, some of you have been mentioned this on the DM side. We're opening up a brand new school community starting December 1st. For beta, it'll be a paid school community. So a lot of things I've seen that I don't like about communities, I've just changed it and built inside of ours. So we do like weekly workshop sessions with like Nigel, for example, Kajhon. He'll be doing the threat intelligence stuff. I'll be bringing different consultants as well to talk towards you guys. There'll be the self-paid courses you get access to as well, and then monthly financial sessions and career sessions as well for that. So any questions about that at all, just let me know. Again, beta opens up like December 1st. I saw some slots open for it. And I'll drop the link here. Again, any questions about it all, just let me know. But like next month, you'll be seeing a crap ton of updates from it. So it's going to be fun.
If anybody got any questions that you didn't get to ask but want to ask, feel free to DM me. I do my best to get back to people on DMs. I mean, I do get a lot, so please bear with me. I still have months and months of DMs to get through. But I mean, this career is definitely exciting. I love being a threat hunter because like I said, I get to touch every aspect of cyber technical work, but also I'm very customer facing, right? I mean, we've done webinars, we've pushed out blogs. There's more to threat hunting than just the investigation side and the technical side. You have to build a level of soft skills and presence and be able to relay technical jargon to decision makers, stakeholders, right? Um, Boardrooms, virtual boardrooms, CISOs, right? Those who will make the decision on whether or not they want to keep your service. So that's definitely something you definitely have to build over time. Again, is useful soft skills and being able report writing. I mean, that's like, whew. I mean, I'm writing a report every time something is found. Every time a campaign is unveiled, a threat actor did something. Blah blah blah. I mean, report writing is definitely a necessary skill, and having good technical writing is a necessary skill. But again, there's opportunities out there. There are platforms. There's training. There's so many things. So please feel free to reach out, and I will get back to everyone when I can. I just want to thank Kenneth for having me back on, and thank you for being understanding for the rescheduling and everything.
No problem. You're big time, Kajhon, so I completely understand. But otherwise, other than that, we'll close out for tonight. Again, the last session for the year will be on a Saturday, I think like December, I don't know, like 8th. And that'll be the final session for this year. And then next year, we'll be having a new series being launching as well with some new co-hosts. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I thank you guys for your time, and I'll see you next time.